Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from yourblackworld.net. Many of you saw that there was some interesting commentary made by Antoine Fuqua, who is a respected filmmaker. He made the recent film Olympus Has Fallen. He also made the film Training Day. And basically, Antoine seemed to be saying that anybody who believes that Hollywood is racist is pretty much out of their mind, that basically it's a figment of their imagination. And as you know, I take some issue with that because I am a strong believer that there's a lot of racism in Hollywood that needs to be addressed. And it's a possibility that perhaps Antoine is afraid to speak up on it, or I actually refuse to believe that he's not smart enough to see the racism that's around him. He's just too smart to not know how it works. So I wanted to get the perspective. I got an email the other day from a brother named Leonard Rowe, who is a longtime follower of yourblackworld.net, and a brilliant man in his own right. Mr. Rowe has extensive experience in the concert promotion industry and actually filed a $700 million lawsuit in response to the racism that he witnessed in the industry, where he argues that black concert promoters have been blackballed, that there's a lot of blackballing that occurs in Hollywood as it relates to race. Mr. Rowe even says that Arsenio Hal disappeared all of a sudden from the airwaves because he brought Minister Louis Farrakhan on the show. And so I wanted to allow Mr. Rowe to share his story because this is not something you're going to hear on mainstream media, because the Hollywood folks who enjoy oppressing black people control the media outlets. So I want to welcome Mr. Rowe to Your Black World. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing today, Doctor?
I'm doing very well, sir, very well. I'm really happy that you emailed me. You have educated me on a lot that's been going on, particularly in the concert promotion industry. Can you, first of all, so we can lay a foundation here, what is your background in the industry, and how deep do you go into the entertainment industry?
My background in the industry has always been a concert promoter from the age of 22. I've been in the industry going on 40 years, and I have mainly been engaged as a concert promoter.
Okay, and so you've worked with a lot of big acts, right? You weren't just promoting tiny stuff, right? You were with some of the biggest out there, right?
Well, I promoted some of the biggest from Michael Jackson on down, fortunately, and the industry have been pretty decent to me on one hand. At the same time, simultaneously trying to fight the evils of the entertainment industry on the other hand. So, yes, I've been around for a while, Doctor.
So when you talk about the evils of the industry, now a lot of us from the outside would say, gosh, if you started off, promoting guys like Michael Jackson and other people, you must have it made. So, what were some of the challenges that you faced being a black concert promoter on that level?
Okay, first of all, Doc, I didn't start off promoting them. No one did back in the days when blacks was allowed to scratch out a living. I had to start off with the small acts and work my way up and prove myself and develop relationships with these entertainers. And as the relationship developed, I was able to get these top-name black acts. That was back when I began in this industry back in the 70s. But now that's been totally cut out for African Americans. So, yes, back then we was able to engage ourselves with the top entertainers, but no more. That we're not allowed to do that.
Now, when you say not allowed, what do you mean by not allowed? Explain how we're just allowed.
Let me say this out. The first thing I'd like to say to you is this. Black people in America, no black concert promoter has ever been allowed to engage in a contract with a white artist. This was one of the flaws of the industry that I noticed upon entering the industry. No matter who you are, no matter what you have done, no matter how much resources you have, they do not allow black people to engage in a contract to do a concert with the white artist. For an example, as long as I've been around, as well as the agencies know me, they will not allow me to engage in a contract with a Celine Dion or Paul McCartney or Elton John or any white act. I don't care who you are. You could be Oprah Winfrey and have Oprah Winfrey type money. She cannot engage in a contract to do a concert with a white entertainer. This is a precedent they have set, and they would do anything to keep it in place, to keep that discriminatory policy in place. But what I found to be a problem, Doctor, was this. A white promoter can and do and always been allowed to engage in a contract to do a concert with any artist, whether they be black or white. So most of the times when our black artists become superstars and stellar ticket sellers, they are given over to the white promoters to reap the benefits and take away from our black community. That is something that I haven't been able to stomach. That is something that I've always had a problem with, and I guess I'm going to have a problem with it as long as I live. But like you said earlier, Doc, they do a very good job hiding this type of discrimination from the public with their control of the media. So most Americans don't understand that. Most black Americans don't understand that when they go to that Coliseum, when they go to Madison Square Garden, or when they go to War Memorial up in Syracuse, or when they go to the Spectrum, or any facility to see a black artist, and a white promoter such as Live Nation or AEG is promoting these contracts, and they stick that money through the hole and say, give me 2 tickets, the black community never see that dollar again.
So when you say, well, I didn't mean to cut you. I have to really understand a little better here now. So when you say they won't allow black promoters to get into contracts with white artists, if I want to make a contract with a white artist, can't I just contact the artist and make a contract? I mean, what is the process? How do people actually stop this from happening? You know, if Oprah Winfrey came and said, I want to promote Celine Dion, who would stand in the way of that, and how would they actually go about doing that?
It's very simple, Doc. They use the same trickery tactics that they have always used. You know, back in the old days down here in the South, Doc, when you got ready to buy a home and you go to a realtor's office and you say, look, I'm looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. They only show you homes in the black community. They used to. They don't even take you to the white community. They don't even address it. Then if you say, what about this home over here in a white community? They say, well, I think that's under contract already. It's not available. It's the same thing they do with the entertainers. If I call William Morris over the years, which I have done, and I say, look, I'm looking for an artist to play Louisville, Kentucky on the 15th of August. They go down the entire black roster and see what's available for the 15th of August. But when they get to the bottom of that office, to the bottom of that roster, you know what they tell me? That's all I have. No, it's not all you have. You have a white roster, too. But by me being African-American, I'm not allowed to purchase the white artist. But at the same time, Tom,
okay, so I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just want to make sure people understand what you're saying here. So when you say who are the people going down the roster that are saying what's available? Are you talking about the agencies like CAA and the talent agencies? Is that what you mean?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. The agencies such as CAA and such as the William Morris agency.
Okay, I got you. And I didn't mean to belabor on that point, but I just want to make sure that we make that clear what you're saying. So you're saying that a lot of these big talent agencies create an environment where it is very difficult for black business people, promoters particularly, to make money from the biggest artists, especially the biggest white artists, and sometimes even the biggest black artists. Am I right that you guys are kind of being pushed out? Is that what you're saying?
That is exactly what I'm saying. We're not being pushed out, Doc. Today we have already been pushed out. And let me say something. They don't make it hard for you to purchase a white artist. You are not going to purchase a white artist, period. Now, they make it hard. Your answer is right when it comes to a black artist. They make that hard for you to do. But it's not under consideration when you talk about buying a Celine Dion. That's a precedent that had been set in this industry that they will not break. They paid a lot of money in my case to fight that lawsuit that I brought about that.
Okay. So you filed a lawsuit?
Well, I filed a lawsuit, Doc, against 33 companies in the entertainment industry, agents, and all of the white promoters. They was involved. We believed at the time they was involved in a conspiracy We later found out that they were. 28 of them settled out of court with us when derogatory statements was found in their files, such as no blacks allowed, do not divulge to the blacks, and so forth.
So they wait. So you're saying that during the discovery process, it was unearthed that they were literally saying to each other, "No blacks allowed," or "Do not show this to the blacks."
That's exactly. They was making notes.
Really?
About. Yes, they were.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
So that type of evidence started pouring out, and 28 of them decided to settle. But the billion-dollar companies, and the one that's most guilty of this heinous activity, CIA and the William Morris Agency, they refused to sell it because if they had settled, what would have happened was they would have had to change the ways of that industry, and they refused to do that. So they don't care how much money that it would take for them to not sell this case. They was willing to pay it. So in this case, they decided to pay it to not only my attorneys, but it's totally believed that they decided to pay it to the court as well. And this is why the court decided to turn a blind eye and a deaf ear to the mountain hills of evidence that we presented to keep this case from going to the jury. My attorneys were blatantly caught lying in their declarations about the evidence. And when they was caught lying, they disappeared. They wouldn't comment any further. But they knew at the same time that the court would protect them. But all I'm saying to you, Doctor, is this. We as black people should not allow this type of injustice to go on and to be brought against our community. Black people should rise up from everywhere. Because when they say no black person, they're not talking about just the plaintiffs. They're talking about all black people. And they're violating our civil and human rights. And our government should not allow it. We are taxpayers. We pay our government for protection and for due process of the law. And that we should not allow that. And we should ask our government to not allow this type of crime. And so I say to you, Doc, that it's an awful crime being done to black people. The gentleman that wrote, that came forward with the interview that said he don't know about any.
You're referring to Antoine Fuqua, the director, right?
Antoine Fuqua. I'm sure he's a very intelligent individual. For him to be doing the things that he's doing in entertainment work, I love it in the entertainment business. I love his work. I love the films that he have made, the ones that I have saw. But I totally understand why he answered the way he answered. Because I want you to understand this. They make no exceptions. If you speak out against that industry, they have an ironclad policy for you to be blackballed, no matter who you are. And they don't deviate from that. They do not deviate from it. Just like you saw Arsenio Hal, they didn't wait to get him off television. A couple of weeks after he invited Farrakhan and treated him with respect, he was gone. And he have yet to surface again, having his own show. You know why?
Wow.
When Fox fired him, CBS didn't pick him up. NBC didn't pick him up. You see David Letterman switch networks all the time. No one picked up Arsenio Hall because of the conspiracy that exists in the entertainment industry. You can't pick him up. Nobody can pick him up. And they have an ironclad policy, and that's the way they operate in that industry. And you know what they want to do? They want to keep all of us ignorant to the way they operate. And that is why they maintain control of the media. And that is why we need people like you doing the great job that you are doing, so we could try to educate our people to how we are being mistreated by that industry. So, my head's off to you, Doc. I want to thank you for what you're doing, because, like I said earlier, you can count the people on one hand that have the courage to do what you're doing. They don't have the courage. So we must keep fighting. We must keep fighting, Doc. But we must open our eyes and we must demand. Let me tell you what. Let me say this, Doc, before we end up. Let me say this. What they have been able to do in this country, and especially in the entertainment industry, is keep us divided and take away our leadership. They don't want us to have strong leaders. They'll never want another Martin Luther King to serve. They don't want something because you know why? Black people are a strong group of people when they get together. They know that. But as long as they can keep us divided, they can control us. But when we get together, or we have a leader that can bring us all together, they consider him a threat to this country. He's not, but now let me say this to you. Every race in this country except blacks are together. The Jewish people stay together. You'll never catch one going against another one. But they don't want us to enjoy it, the same camaraderie. They don't want that. Because when we get together, we don't have fear of anyone. And if you look at all of the different circumstances that have brought us together, we have prevailed in every one of them. From Rodney King, when they gave him a beating, we stood up and said they must go to prison for it, and the government didn't rest until they locked them up. The guy in Florida, Trayvon Martin, when he was killed in Florida, black people rose up all over the country, and they said something must be done. We want him arrested. We want him arrested now. Had we not done that, they was going to let him go home and continue living a normal life and say, job well done. But when we rose up, they had to act. Martin Luther King holiday, this country said they'll never do it. We had states that held out. All blacks united and said we must have that holiday and we want it now. Look what we have. They don't want us to get together because when we get together, they must cave in.
Right.
And they must acknowledge us. And that's what black people need to understand. Don't let them keep us divided. And in that entertainment industry, they have us all divided. Black entertainers are in a lot of trouble. When I read every day about the Lauryn Hills, about the Mary J. Blige, about the R. Kelly losing his home, about Prince, he need to work. They have eliminated all black promoters that could take these artists on the road and make a living for them and allow them to make a living. They eliminate us. And by eliminating us, they control them. And so people need to wake up and understand what they're doing.
Well, I'll say this. We might be divided, but in some areas, but we're together right now, and everything you're saying, I really appreciate it because it highlights exactly what I think, exactly what my goals were. When we established the network that we have. This is not the most powerful network in the world, but one of the things that I learned when I was studying media in preparation for this venture, which I funded with my own money, I didn't have a whole lot of it. It was more sweat equity than anything, is that I noticed that black folks really don't have the opportunity to have our own unique voice and to speak to each other without going through a filter that's controlled by somebody else. So when we talk about what they do and do not want us to have, I'll tell you, Mr. Rowe, I am not concerned in the least with what they want us to have. I'm concerned with what we deserve to have and what we're going to have, whether anybody likes it or not. So I think that your story is powerful. And what I would like actually for you to do, if you can, is because I have to run out of here, but I would like for you to share more of the documentation. You sent me a lot of legal files. We put something up on one of the websites, culturecritic.com. We'll also put some things on Your Black World because I think that your story needs to be told on a consistent, ongoing basis. So I invite you to send me anything that you think that people should see, in a form that's digestible because I think people have to be educated on how the industry works. Every time I talk to an entertainer, I'm seeing a lot of what you're saying here, and we can't be living life afraid of our own shadow. So I want to thank you so much for your time, Mr. Rowe. I really appreciate, everything.
Thank you, Doc. I'll be glad to do that. I'll be glad to send you, and I'll send it to you where you can understand exactly what and keep the public informed. That would be a blessing for you to do that.
Oh, all right, and you are a blessing to me. And for those who are listening, You are a blessing to both of us. Without you, none of this is possible. And I tell you from the bottom of my heart, we are doing our absolute best to bring the best that we can to you. And thank you so much. Thank you. And for those on the line, thank you for checking us out at yourblackworld.com. And until we meet again, please stay strong, be blessed, and be educated. We are gone. Peace.